The story of the man who turned into a cricket. During the Le dynasty, people often played cricket fighting games. People try to find strong and skillful fighters and sell them at high prices. Every time there is a cricket fight, bettors surround the outside circle, and the owners of the winning crickets both receive large prizes and are admired by the crowd. Therefore, from the officials to the people, everyone competed to raise fighting crickets, and the king himself was the most passionate about this hobby. There are officials who specialize in raising and taking care of the king's fighting crickets. There are internal police officers who specialize in hunting for crickets among the people. The palace often holds cricket fighting festivals, with many high-ranking mandarins from towns coming to attend the matches. In order to always have good crickets, the king ordered each governor near the capital to find at least one fighting cricket to submit. If it was a good cricket, it would be exempted from tax collection. On the contrary, if it was a bad cricket, it would be exempted from tax collection. If there is no base, then there is a serious sin. At that time, in the Kin Bak region, in Dai Mao district, there was a commander who raised a cricket that was very good at fighting. All the famous crickets that he brought to fight against his crickets also lost. Therefore, he treasured his cricket more than gold, and took great care to wait for the day he would be crowned king. He thought to himself, maybe thanks to this year's tax crop will be reduced by the province a little. The day of the cricket tournament was approaching. One day the foreman went to the market to prepare his belongings. At home that day, only his young son was the only one keeping house. Feeling sad, he called the neighborhood children over to play. After playing for a while, they played a game of cricket fighting. Even though he knew his father's crickets were not allowed to be touched, but now that his parents were away from home, the boy opened the cage to catch the precious cricket and let him compete with his friends' crickets. I don't know how they picked it up and down, but after only a short while the precious cricket suddenly fainted and then fell dead. Seeing the dead cricket, the boy was extremely scared. Thinking about the upcoming beatings from his strict father, he no longer had any soul left. If I lose my cricket, my father will wring his neck and not forgive me if he comes back. Thinking so, the boy quickly ran away from home. When the general returned, as usual, he immediately went to the cage to caress the cricket. Seeing the cricket die, he roared. And when he learned that the culprit was his son, he immediately sent someone to find him and try to fight him. But the family looked everywhere and could not find the boy anywhere. If he didn't see his son return for a day or two, he became angry and worried. He had to write a letter to the commune chiefs asking for help, but it was ineffective. Surely his son was afraid of sin, so he risked his body being ruined somewhere. He and his wife were extremely sad. The couple said to each other, "The cricket is dead. I don't know what to bring to the king. In any case, I will be seriously punished, and my only child is gone. So why bother living anymore?" Then, they decided that at night they would go to the back garden and hang themselves. Talking about the child again, after leaving home, he kept walking down the forest path. "We have to go quickly or Dad will let someone chase us." Walking until late afternoon, part of me was tired and hungry, part of me was scared because there was no one in the deep forest. The baby lay on a rock and cried. Suddenly from behind the rock, a Taoist monk appeared and asked, "Why are you crying?" The boy cried and told the story to the Taoist, and said, "Now my father has no cricket to pay the king, the king must be punishing him for a serious crime. Hearing this, the Taoist said, "Don't worry, let me help you atone for your parents' sins." Having said that, the Taoist took the child back to the cave, gave him rice to eat and made a bed for him to sleep. The next day, the Taoist called the boy up and said, "I will make you turn into a cricket, you go back and help your father have something to pay the king. When you're done, find a way to escape back here and I'll turn you back to your original form. Do you want that?" The boy nodded. The Taoist recited a spell. Suddenly the boy kept getting smaller and smaller and finally turned into a cricket. The Taoist waved his hand and said, "Be courageous and go. Then remember the way back here." Our cricket took off along the old path and flew all the way back. When he got home, the foreman and his wife went to the back garden to try to tie the rope. Crickets came closer and crowed each time. Hearing the sound of crickets very close, the foreman was surprised and quickly lit a torch to look, and the cricket landed right on his palm. Seeing that the cricket seemed healthy and knew someone, the foreman changed his sadness to happiness. "This is the bad luck that caused me to give you the cricket to replace your child the other day." He immediately forgot everything that had happened and gave up the idea of committing suicide, so he put the cricket in a cage to bring it to the king tomorrow in time for the festival. When General Dai Mao's cricket was brought into the palace, the king had never seen a cricket so small yet so strong. The king let it compete with other crickets, but not a single one dared to compete. All the famous crickets in the capital were defeated. The king was very pleased with the champion cricket. He quickly went down to give the cricketer a high rank and ordered to forgive taxes for General Dai Mao for 3 years to reward his efforts in finding good crickets. The king ordered the precious cricket to be placed in a golden cage and ordered several internal officials to take great care of it. A few days later, in the middle of a big festival, the king ordered the new cricket to fight against the cricket governor of 3 southern towns who had just returned to attend the festival. After 3 rounds, the new cricket pair broke the claw of the governor's cricket. The king has never felt so refreshed. But when the housekeeper was about to catch the cricket and put it in the cage, the cricket suddenly spread its wings and soared into the sky, and in just a moment disappeared before the bewildered eyes of the kings and mandarins. The cricket kept following the old path and flew back to the Taoist's cave. Seeing the Taoist monk, a cricket landed on his shirt. The Taoist took a cricket in his hand and recited a spell. Suddenly the cricket grew bigger and bigger, and in the blink of an eye it turned back into the general's son. The Taoist patted him on the shoulder and said, "Come back or your parents will wait for you." The boy found his way out of the forest and returned home. Seeing their child, the foreman and his wife were extremely happy. Prosecution, a rhyme collected in the north, mentions the above story, but the story's ending is different. La Dynasty, Qinhua era, 4 directions are calm, peaceful music. The countryside gives way to the city. How common is the way of playing cricket? The king's order, no matter the general, also raised fighting crickets to enter the palace. Good cricket, increased wages, and tax collection throughout the year. At that time, in Thuan Tan Prefecture, the gentle ruler Dai Mao was always present. I thought it was a lucky turn of luck. I got a precious cricket waiting for the day I entered the capital. The cricket cage is kept next to me. Every day I take care of it and really dare to be wrong. Who would have thought that the god would bring disaster, the child would instantly kill the cricket. Afraid of being beaten, he hid, leaving the general in turmoil. In case this matter reaches the ears of the mandarins, how can the Kim Kwan be charged safely? Lamenting alone for a long time, I immediately went to a deserted place behind the village communal house. Hanging my head on an eagle branch, borrowing the cruel rope, I decided to commit suicide. Thinking of the general's pity, I despise myself because of the little cricket. 2. The Chinese also have a story about a cricket that is very similar to our story about the man who turned into a cricket. In the past, during the reign of King Tuyen Duk, in the palace there was cricket fighting custom. People pay crickets in lieu of taxes. The Hua-Am district governor wanted to please his superiors, forcing the chiefs to try to find good crickets and setting a very short deadline. A chief named Trong went out of his way to find him, but he still didn't show up when he was supposed to. So Trong was beaten. In the village there was a hunchback wizard. Trong's wife came to pray. He gave him a piece of paper to draw a cricket in a bush on the mound behind the temple. Trong then went to the village temple to look for it and found a big and strong cricket. Just like our story, while Trong was away, his son caught a precious cricket to play and broke 2 claws, causing him to die immediately. The boy was scared and jumped into the well. The couple picked it up, barely alive. The boy came back to life but was unconscious. Trong was sad and tried to commit suicide. Waking up in the morning, I heard the sound of crickets outside the door. I quickly ran out and saw a good cricket. I chased it several times but failed. In the end, he still couldn't catch it. Meanwhile, he saw another small, black cricket jumping into his shirt. Then brought him into the house. In the village, there is someone who specializes in raising good crickets and always wins. When I went to Trong's house, I saw a new cricket, so I brought my cricket to fight. At first the cricket sat motionless. People use pig hair to encourage it to fight. Several times he still sat still. Finally it jumped out to fight and beat the other one. Somewhere a chicken jumped to catch a cricket. Trong panicked, worried that the chicken would eat it, but the cricket jumped up and bit the chicken's comb, causing the chicken to struggle as if its throat had been cut. After that, Trong handed over the cricket. Seeing the baby cricket, the district official scolded him, but Trong quickly told the man what had just happened. After the trial, the mandarin ordered the crickets to be brought to the governor. The governor put it in a golden cage to present to the king. The king was delighted because the cricket was wise and strong like never before, so he rewarded the general. The governor gave his grace to the district governor. The district council extended its gratitude to Trong. Thanks to that, Trong passed the baccalaureate. A year later, Trong's child regained consciousness. He said that in recent days he had turned into a cricket so that his father could become king, and since then he had to attend many matches with all kinds of crickets from all over the country. The Trong family later became rich. 3. About the legend of the cricket, see the story The Cruel Stepmother, number 145. Notes. 1. According to Se-ong, Sheon. Book cited. 2. Tri Tan, number 30, 1942. 3. According to Bo Tung Lin, Lu Tri is unique. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.